Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Vegas Voice Seniors Vote. I'm Dan Roberts, the publisher and editor of the Vegas Voice, and one of my great jobs will be interviewing all the great people who have taken the time to run for elected office. And we have a very good one today, and that's Miss Jill Douglas, and she is a candidate for Nevada Senate District 6. Jill, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you. And I guess the first question, well, let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about your background, because this is the first time you're running for elected office. So
Correct.
Why don't you tell the folks exactly who you are, what you believe, et cetera, et cetera.
Great. I'm a 30-year resident of Las Vegas and a mother of 4, a grandmother of 8. I was raised in a military household, and I married a military Air Force guy, and that's what brought us here 30 years ago. I fell in love with Las Vegas and Nevada and opened my own business, and eventually worked my way up to becoming an agency vice president. I oversaw our corporate operations in the states of Nevada, Arizona, and Colorado. And, learned a lot about how business operates and how it's important to work with budgets and personnel and hiring and recruiting, training, return on revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, became more and more involved with politics. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I don't get involved. And I like to say what you do, because from the time we wake up every morning, the car we're driving, we paid sales tax on that car, and we have to register that car, and we are impacted by the decisions that other people are making for us. And sometimes those decisions are not good decisions, and they're not in our best interest. And so I just became more and more convicted that I wanted to be more a part of that process, because again, whether we like it or not, politics affects everything we do, how fast we drive, everything is affected from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed. And I want to be part of the solution.
Well, then that goes to my next question. You mentioned that you were a businesswoman, mother, grandmother, which means that you control the shots. You can tell your children, this is what we're doing. You can tell the grandchildren, this is what we're doing. As a businesswoman, you're in charge. Why would you then go into public office? Why would you do something like that as someone who, knows who's very successful in doing what you've been doing?
Because I got fed up and I got fired up to make a difference, especially because I'm a grandmother, because I'm so concerned. Our state is at a crisis point. Our country is at a crisis point. And I'm very concerned about what the future is going to look like. Are my grandchildren going to have the same opportunity to start a business, to be successful, to live the American dream? Or is all that slipping away from them? And so I very much care about the education our children are receiving. Mm-hmm. I care about the crime that has increased in our neighborhoods and the impact of taxation, especially on our senior community. Right. All of these things are very important to me. I'm a very limited government, maximum freedom person, and just also what got me fired up was experiencing what happened during COVID. Seeing our governor step in and these mandates that came out, watching businesses be closed, seeing individuals and businesses labeled as essential and not essential, driving down the Las Vegas Strip and seeing it totally dark, having doctors receive mandates that from our governor that they could not prescribe prescription medication or use medication off-label for the purposes of treating COVID. And I just felt all of it was a terrible, terrible overreach. And I really started getting involved. I started working on people's campaigns. I started knocking doors, talking to neighbors, doing the fundraising, making the phone calls. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting very involved with what was going on with our local school board because I was concerned with our failing schools. And then, unlike most people who run for office, I actually started participating in the legislative sessions. Yeah. I actually put a group together and we created a manual on how to testify, how to use the NELA system. And I would go down and I would write letters. I would use Nellis. I would testify in person. I would call in. And that in and of itself was such a good experience because I became more upset with the overall, what I perceived to be total arrogance of our legislature. These individuals who were voted into office to represent their constituents, and they acted bored with the process and didn't seem to appreciate that the public wanted to make comment on many things, or they overlooked when the vast majority of individuals would be in support of something like the school choice, educational opportunity scholarships. Overwhelmingly, the majority of public supported that, and yet they voted in a different way. I don't think that's what they got elected to do.
But let me ask you this. You've seen the process. You know how messy it can be.
Yes.
Okay. You now become a state senator. Now you're on the inside looking out. Can you work with other people, or is it just going to be my way or the highway?
Absolutely. Well, that's another reason I ran. Because the incumbent who's in office does not reach across the aisle and does not work in a bipartisan way. Look, I think that when you get elected to office, the voters, the constituents who've elected you, they really don't care if you have an R or a D behind your name. What they care about is balanced government. What they care about are elected officials that are putting them and their interest first, not special interest. And so that's really one of the things that sets me apart is I'm like them. I feel the pain points when I fill my car up with gas. I feel the pain points when I go to buy groceries, for my family. I have seen crime in our neighborhoods twice in the last 6 months. I've been in CVS pharmacies when they were being robbed. And the clerk was crying and trying to stop people from leaving. I mean, it is in our neighborhoods, and we have to stand up and say it's not okay. We have to make crime illegal again. The senior community up in Sun City, many of them, they're worried to be out of their house in the evening. They're worried to drive down to Rampart and Lake Mead and go in the grocery store, which used to be such a safe place. And now they don't feel that it's safe. And that's not okay. And that is a direct result of policies that were voted in by the incumbent, which were soft on crime. You can't be soft on crime because you send a message then that it's okay. And it encourages more. And that's what we've seen happen. And so we have to take back our communities. But in terms of reaching across the aisle, that again is one of the reasons that I ran. I talked to a lot of the sitting state senators and assembly people, and they all told me that our government in Carson City is the worst that it had been for 22 years. That it had become so partisan, and the main cause of that is the incumbent, who is a Senate Majority Leader, who has instilled fear in individuals and said there is no seat at the table for anyone who has an opposing point of view. And I think that's so wrong because they're there not to represent special interests. They are there to represent the voters of Nevada.
And the interesting thing about Senate District 6 is that it's like 50%, 49%. It's very close in terms of party affiliation.
Yes, it is.
How do you get over that hump? Because the last couple of Republicans were not that successful, but they were so close.
Very close.
And we know exactly what it is. What are you prepared to do differently to make sure you get over that hump to be elected?
Right. We're working a lot with those independent voters because you're right. The voter total is about a 5,500 vote difference. And so we have within our party some low propensity voters, and sometimes they show up to vote and sometimes they don't. We want to get them excited and make sure they understand that their vote counts. And when elections are so close as this one was 4 years ago, it was 631 votes. And yet over 7,000 Republicans didn't show up to vote. So, again, if just less than 10% of those would have showed up, we would have had a different result. So everybody's vote does matter. Everybody's vote counts. And so we've got to get everyone to say, show up and vote and make your voice heard. It's the only way you get a voice is by showing up to vote.
Well, in the few seconds that we have left, my big question is, and I ask this to everybody, residents of Sun City, Summerlin should vote for Jill Douglas because
I care. because I absolutely care. I feel their pain points. As I've knocked on their doors, they have told me, we are very concerned with crime. I will make crime illegal again and protect them. The other thing is the economy. They're on fixed incomes. I understand what that means to them. When all the prices of everything have gone up so much, their income hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of these individuals are having to make severe choices, which is, well, I have to pay the utility bill. I have to pay this. So they're skipping meals.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. And I want to work for them to try to find some types of tax relief. Maybe that is through some property tax exemptions. Maybe that is through some sales tax holidays on certain goods during certain times of the year. But we have to protect our senior population. They are vulnerable because they are on very fixed incomes. I'm totally supportive of the ideas on the federal government of not taxing their Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they worked their whole lives for that. And so we have to be very cognizant and very tuned into their pain points because, again, their incomes are not going up. They don't have the ability to increase their incomes. And, you know, as the minimum wage goes up, even if they wanted to work, then they would be in a situation where they potentially could make too much money to draw their Social Security. So it's, you know, it's just it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm here for them to protect them and find solutions to those pain points.
So with that in mind, if people in the district, including Sun City, someone want more information about you, they want to volunteer, they want to contribute, how do they get a hold of you?
The first thing is you can call my cell phone, 702-497-3352. Call my cell phone. You can email me at jill@jilldouglas.com. You can also go on our website, which is jilldouglas.com. So we're easy to find, and we will definitely respond and get back to you.
And if somebody calls you, you will pick up the phone.
I will absolutely. If I'm not available, you can leave a message, but I will call you back.
Fair enough. Jill, I thank you so much for being here. We wish you all the best.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it as well.
And this is Dan Roberts for Seniors Vote, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.